Paul Slattery photographed the band at their early gigs. He's agreed to show us some pictures that have never been seen before on television.
Even, in this early gig, you could see him posing around. I mean, he was quite adept at posing. Bono was just in his element there. There was like speaker stacks to climb on. There was like things to swing off, light stacks to swing off. He was swinging all over the place. Oh, it was incredible, and the crowd were going absolutely mental.
Of these photos, have you got a favourite?
It's got to be a live one at the Bagot. Bono giving it plenty in the Bagot pub, right, in this tiny little pub in Dublin. And this one here, just a bunch of young, would-be hopeful band. All looks a bit threadbare and penniless at the time, but I think that was their style.
And Bono's style has changed a lot since those early days. As a pin-up, Bono's fortunes have been good and bad. Rolling Stone magazine voted him the sexiest rock star alive, but the British public once said they'd rather sleep with John Major. Bono has made history, though. He was the first man on the front cover of British Vogue.
Bono, man, that cat was sexy.
Now, Bono has done so much drinking in this pub, he's even donated a pair of these. And usually, of course, he only takes off his sunglasses for one thing: a meeting with the Pope.
You're a great showman as well as a great holy man. That is for you. And also my glasses.
Now, the pic of the pontiff donning Bono's shades has mysteriously disappeared, but it went something like this.
Look, watch this. Rockstar, not a rockstar. It's that simple. Sad, isn't it?
But obviously Bono needs more than a pair of shades to make him cool. This man was given the task of designing his outfits for the Pop Mart tour.
It was one of the costumes that gave a lot of problems because he was moving so much with it that every night there were like 100 sequins which were like falling off, so everything had to be repaired night by night.
And was he very definite about what he wanted?
He was very definite, but he wanted always more and more, because sometimes there were things he didn't like, and that was mainly because he didn't look right in it, and then we tried to or change it or figure it out that he looked better in it or that he felt better in it. And that was one of our main concerns, to make the costumes in a way that they still are very powerful, and I think Bono wants things which are giving him a certain power and a certain extra identity.
Now, behind the green door is U2 manager Paul McGuinness, aka the fifth member of the band. They affectionately call him the Goose, and he's going to have a chat with us.
I wanted to become the manager of a great rock band, and I was kind of looking for a band. I went to see them. They were doing then badly what they do now very well, and I agreed to be their manager on the spot.
U2's finances are shrouded in secrecy, but if well-placed sources are accurate, right from the early days, the band split any profits they made 5 ways.
Bono has said in the past that there are 4 people in the band and 5 people in the corporation, and I think that sums it up quite well.
Nowadays, U2 play to capacity crowds in big arena, but in the early days, it was a different story. When U2 played here, they didn't pull in much of a crowd. Just 9 people turned up for the gig, the Edge broke a string, and the band walked off halfway through the set. They'd go on to have some of the highest ticket sales and most excessive stage sets of any band, but in the late 70s, all the major labels snubbed them. A&M were not interested. Chrysalis said no. EMI were not impressed, and even CBS, which signed the band in Ireland, thought them too risky for an international deal. big mistake. Nicky Graham was the A&R man for CBS when U2 were trying to get a record deal.
We were all saying this is something we want to sign, but the chairman didn't want to spend a lot of money on it, and who knows? I mean, it might have been a budgetary thing. He might have thought, well, if it's going to take more than a year before we recoup, then I don't want to do this.
I was very surprised by how difficult it was to get a deal for U2 because how good they were seemed very clear to me.
I wouldn't even dream of calculating how much we lost by not being able to sign them.
Although the band couldn't get an international deal, they did sign to CBS Ireland and release U2-3. They pressed just 1,000 copies of the 12-inch. Here's the very last one. The sound now unmistakably U2, apart from Bono's Buzzcock-style yodel. What input did you have to the actual labelling?
I stuck the labels on and I numbered them. I actually, with my hand, numbered them from 1 to 1,000. The whole marketing idea was to give the industry and the shops and so on the sense that this wasn't just another Irish record by an Irish band. It was something very, very special and unique. And it seemed to work because 1,000 copies sold out in a few days.
Now, Jackie, you've got number 1,000 there. Is this your pension fund?
I don't have any plans to sell it. But on the other hand, if the right offer came up, who knows? I could be tempted.
In fact, the record is only worth £500, so that villa on the south of France might be a bit unrealistic. Eventually, Ireland offered them a deal, and legend has it they were first approached in the ladies' loos at the Lyceum Theatre. Flushed with success, the lads wanted to start spending their pennies immediately and asked for a bag of cash.
All is quiet on New Year's Day.
And Bono said, well, do we get any money? And we said, well, no, the checks and the way. No, we want some cash. Give us some cash. So I went scurrying around to the front of the office and said to the financial man, I think, give me some cash. I actually took back a sort of bag of money and said, there you are, there's the cash, Bono. Good man, you know, that's it, got the cash, you know, he wanted the cash. He wanted tangible proof, I think, that they had a deal.
One would expect that their first record deal probably got them an advance of £50,000 to £100,000 with about a 10% royalty, and most of the advance would have gone in recording costs.
More than 20 years later, U2 have stuck with Ireland, but the terms of their contract have radically changed. Now the band's record deal is seen as their most notable business achievement, much envied in the music biz.
We always thought it would be pathetic to be good at the music and bad at the business. We wanted to know how the business worked, and we were not going to let it beat us.
You're dangerous, 'cause you're honest. You're dangerous.
The details of the most recent deal are closely guarded, but it's rumoured the band's royalty rate is a handsome 28%, making them one of the highest earning acts in pop history. This man was MD of Island Records for 10 years. He sat down at the negotiating table with U2.
The deal reflects their status. It's funny, there are parts of it that have been vastly exaggerated, and there have been parts of it that have been under-exaggerated, and I'm going to have to leave it to you and the viewers to guess which are which.
But reports that U2 are among the highest earning artists could well have some truth.
They could well have some truth, yeah.
Now, Bono's been shrewd, but he's also been lucky. In the 80s, in lieu of earnings for the Joshua Tree, the band accepted shares in the record company. And when Island was sold to Polygram, they landed a huge catch, weighing in at around £20 million. U2 are also one of a handful of bands who've held on to the rights to all their songs, which means they get all the money from their back catalogues. That means in the 20-plus years since Bono's first bag of cash in the toilets, he's bagged lots more bucks from record deals, around £44 million. But getting to the bottom of his fortune is no easy task.
One reason why there is not much hard information about Bono's wealth is because we're lacking any juicy court cases and disputes with managers and other band members.
In fact, almost